Welcome to the Flow Podcast, fearlessly leading our way. This podcast is a space dedicated to spotlighting the unfiltered voices of Black women in their unique leadership journeys. I am your host, Angela B. Harris. I'm an award-winning coach, speaker, author, and champion for Black women. Make sure you like and subscribe to this podcast to stay connected to our conversations. Let's get ready to flow. Hello, fearless leaders, and welcome back to the Flow Podcast, where we explore the journeys of Black women leaders. I am your host, Angela V. Harris. Today's guest is Sha Battle. Sha is the visionary leader who is a native Georgian who grew up in the metro Atlanta area. She had a successful career as an information technology consultant spanning over 2 decades. She was interested in creating something historic that would uplift minority women, so she created the Black Women in Jazz and the Arts Awards and created March as International Black Women in Jazz and the Arts Month. If that wasn't enough, in 2016, she decided to create April as Black Women's History Month. Welcome to the show, Sha.
Hi, thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much for being here. First, I just want to start by saying I just learned that April was Black Women's History Month. And when I did, I immediately started Googling because I was like, how do I not know about this? And I had to know more. And my search led me to you, and I reached out, and here we are. So thank you for graciously accepting my invitation to be a guest here today.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for inviting me here today. It is such a pleasure.
Yes, well, I'm excited to get to know you a little bit better. But before we dive into that, I wanted to start by sharing some data to support why I feel why Black Women's History Month is needed.
Okay.
According to the 2023 McKinsey and Company Women in the Workplace report, after rising in 2020 and 2021, the number of Black women promoted to manager has fallen back to 2019 levels. In addition to that, Black women face microaggressions at work and feel invisible or like their accomplishments don't get noticed at work. And there's also the concept known as the broken rung, where for every 100 men promoted from entry level to manager, only 87 women are promoted, and that number shrinks to 54 for Black women. And lastly, Black professionals face a double broken rung, which is the inability to be promoted from entry level to manager and manager to executive level. What are your thoughts on that, Sha?
I think it's egregious, really. I think that it's totally ridiculous. I think that we women need so much more. I just think that it's there are no words what I think about it. I mean, this day and age, it should be much better,
Yes.
better, but it's not, unfortunately.
Right, like the data says, we're taking steps back instead of taking steps forward.
Right, exactly.
Well, tell us about your career as an IT consultant.
Oh, well, I had an interest to learn how to repair computers, and I early on, I think it was probably 1980, maybe. I went to school for computer programming, and I thought, oh, this is too boring because I was young and I liked to move around a lot. So I then decided to go to school to learn how to repair computers. and I liked it a whole lot more because it involved electronics and what have you. And so I graduated um, from well, my degree was in computer electronics, and so I graduated from there, and then I would always comb the want ads, and in that time it was printed in the newspaper or whatever. And so what I did was I would always look at the pay. And I must admit, I was motivated by pay. And so I tailored my learning and my skill set to what paid the most. And so that's how I kind of maneuvered around. And then my children, I had two children, and they were both sickly with asthmatics and everything. And so I needed something, a job that was really flexible in that I could take the time I needed to tend to them while they were having a bout of asthma, and learned about consulting. And I was hired by consulting firms that, from then on until I ended up retiring. But it paid me very, very well. It allowed me additional training in different things that you couldn't really get from, traditional schools, and languages and whatever you couldn't get from traditional schools. So I was able to increase my learning and got really good experience in different fields in computer consulting, and so I kind of moved around like that, and I really enjoyed it because it allowed me to travel when I could, and it allowed me, a very healthy lifestyle. Just really, really, really sweet. Is what I would say. And it really benefited me very, very well. It was very accommodating. So, and oftentimes I was the double minority, a Black woman in that field, and that was really sweet to me anyway, because I got the money that I needed, and I got the additional training that I needed and experience. So it was very sweet career.
Sounds like you had a very rewarding and fulfilling career. That's amazing.
Oh yes, yes it was.
What would you say was one of your highlights within your career?
um, the highlights I would say was just I was able to learn some of the platforms that I wanted to learn. Like at the time, it was JD Edwards, it was Bond, which was more of an um, automotive application. Excuse me, and let's see, PeopleSoft. A lot of the languages that you could not learn from school, like a
Uh-huh.
traditional college or
Right.
university. You had to have specialized training, and so that was really the highlight for me. Being able to be exposed to the training that I wanted to be exposed to, and that kind of training would garner you way more money. I mean, six figures easily, you
Yeah.
know. And so that was really sweet for me.
Sounds like you're a lifelong learner.
Yes. Well, in IT, you have to be.
Yeah, you're right about
Things
that. It's
change so
constantly
quickly. Yeah,
changing.
it's constantly changing.
Well, walk us through the process of creating April as Black Women's History Month.
Well, part of the things you said that I well, I'll tell you. At first, I had a a dating website by the name of Chocolate Cougar, and it was a lot of fun because what I would do would be having offline mingles so that people could meet. And the reason for that was, the degrees of separation. So, somebody knows somebody that knows somebody that might know you. And if you're not supposed to be there, then they know that you're not supposed to be there.
Okay.
So, but and I had live cougars and everything at the mingles. It was really, really fun. But then I started wanting to do more for, to kind of elevate Black women. And I went to bed one night and I woke up early, early in the morning, like maybe 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. And Black women in jazz was on my heart. And I really thought somebody else was doing it. And then when I researched it and found out that no, nobody was doing it, I thought, okay, well, you know what they're saying. If you want something to be done and you don't see it being done, then you have to do it. So I took it upon myself to create Black Women in Jazz and the art, excuse me, and the Arts Awards. Well, I had an award show, so it was Black Women in Jazz and the Arts Awards. And what I would do is research, of course, Black women in the areas of the arts, which is, music as well as acting and creating sculptures and painting and just different forms of arts and jazz music. And while I was researching, I kind of started paying attention to the different things that Black women had done to contribute to American history. And I thought, well, wait a minute, hold on. We need, I mean, when you Google Black History Month, you often see 5, 10, or 15 women to celebrate during Black History Month, right? And so I said, well, way more than 5, 10, or 15 women have done so much more to contribute even to Black history. So why is it just a handful that we get to celebrate? And why is it that, as I was going through high school and elementary school, and you hear about the same 5 or 10 Black women who have contributed in some ways to Black history or the advancement of history, like your Rosa Parks and your Harriet Tubman and the likes. And so I was thinking, well, according to what I'm looking at, there's way more women that have done way more stuff, and not to take anything from these women because they definitely deserve to be supported and honored and celebrated, but I was like, there was so many more women that have contributed though in different ways to advancing history. And then I looked, I said, okay, we do have Women's History Month, but there again, you see more of the same 5, 10, or 15 women to celebrate during Women's History Month. And I'm like, no, we need our own month. That's just it. We need our own month. And so I said, well, you know what? We have Black History Month, then we have Women's History Month, then we need to have Black Women's History Month in April. Just keep it going.
Like,
And
keep the party
so
going.
yeah, keep it going. And so that's when I came up. I said, well, I'm going to designate April as Black Women's History Month. And then I did the work that it took to make it happen and make it official, so to speak. And got my documentation available from the city and the governor. And excuse me. And started, you know, promoting Black Women's History Month.
Hmm.
And I know people thought I was crazy because and they probably thought, oh, she's wishful thinking, because we didn't have anything like that. And they probably thought, well, as far as we're going to get is Women's History Month. We're not going to get any more than that.
Hmm.
And I had T-shirts printed and pens and coffee mugs and all that stuff printed, and I sold some. There were several people that humored me, so to speak, and and I was really kind of like, no, we're gonna make this happen. This is gonna be, and and so then I said, well, you know what? We need to make this worldwide. So it needs to be international so that all the Black women in every corner of the earth could know that we have our own month, and that's when it became International Black Women's History Month.
Mm-hmm.
And that was in 2016. And so here it is, 8 years later, it's really getting around, and people are really, hearing about it, and I thank God for that. And last, well, actually, it's been about 2 weeks now. I found out in December of last year. A delegate from the state of West Virginia by the name of Joshua Cole contacted me through, I guess he probably got the number through the website, and he called me and to let me know that he was creating a bill to make April Black Women's History Month in the state of Virginia. And I said, okay, that was so sweet. I thought that was great. In January, he called me again to let me know that it was going to I guess it had come out of what they call committee or whatever. And then
Uh-huh.
it went to, he was letting me know that it was going to the House. And then he called me in February to let me know that it passed out of the House and it was
Wow.
getting ready to go to the Senate. And so like I said, it's been about 2 weeks now. He called me to let me know that it is passed out of the Senate and it has been signed into law in the state of Virginia by the governor of Virginia. So
Wow.
next month, in a week, April is officially a state law in the state of Virginia that April is Black Women's History Month. And every year they're going to celebrate it. So I am elated.
Wow. I mean, kudos to you. That is incredible. So how many
Incredible,
states,
totally.
how many states, I guess, officially recognize April as Black Women's History Month? And I guess, can we start a movement to get other states on board?
That's the goal. That is the goal. That's what I'm in the middle of trying to get done right now. So yeah, in Cincinnati, the mayor. This was last year. The mayor, established April as Black Women's History Month
Hmm.
in Cincinnati, Ohio. And so, yeah, we're doing the same things this year. We're just gonna have to do it every year. Just keep it going, to
Okay.
try to get the nation involved in making this officially a
Yes,
law
that's the
in their
goal.
in their yeah, yeah. So,
I love that.
you know,
And let me
I do
share a
too.
quote. Share a quote with one. It's one of my favorite quotes by Steve Jobs, and it says,
Okay.
the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do." So everyone that thought you were crazy, you're changing the world.
That's funny.
So outside of, I guess, increasing the number of states that recognize Black Women's History Month, what is your hope for this year's Black Women's History Month?
That more and more people will find out about it and accept it and celebrate it. You
Hmm.
know, each one teach one. So, everybody that it comes that they learn about it tells the next person, and the next person tell the next person. And what I noticed that's happening a lot of is organizations are celebrating it, having events during the month and that month of April, and that is definitely what I want to happen. That they will host their own celebrations in support of April being Black Women's History Month. That a whole lot of respect will be around it, and that they would
Hmm.
see Black women in a very much more positive light than they than they have been. And I mean other persuasions, well, as much as ourselves too. And we need to teach our children because they need to know that Black women have contributed as much as they have contributed and continue to contribute. They really need to know that. I didn't know it until I was, well 2016, really.
Hmm.
I had no idea that Black women had contributed so much and was continuing to contribute so much. I just had no idea.
Yeah.
It's not something that's taught in schools. You don't learn it during Black History Month. And so, like I said, I all throughout school, I only was aware of the same handful of black women who have done, things way years and years and years ago. I never knew that. I mean, I know that we were doing stuff, but not to the degree that is contributing that much to Black history. You know what I mean, or to history, period,
Right.
of this
Yeah.
world. So I was just so amazed, and I really thought that I knew that we didn't. I did know that we did not have a Black Women's History Month, and I was like, oh no, I'm gonna do this. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna celebrate Black women around the world. I mean, that's just a given. So
Mhm.
that's what I did. Yeah, that's what I did.
How will you be celebrating this April?
Well, this April, myself personally have a lot of speaking engagements,
Uh-huh.
so I'll be celebrating that way. But I originally was going to have the Black Women's History Month honors, um, and this would be it would have been uh, back since COVID, because I think I had to cancel it. As with everybody else, 2020. And
Hmm.
so this was going to be the first event that I would have promoted during the month of April this year. But then my schedule has gotten so full now, I don't have time to do it.
Hmm.
But I am being celebrated on April 19th with an organization here in Atlanta that that I'll be going. And like I said, I have a lot of other speaking engagements, so I will be very busy this month. I mean, in April anyway. So
Hmm.
that's how I'll be celebrating it. But same thing. Each one teach one. There's still a whole lot of more people that don't know about April being Black Women's History Month. So I'll be shouting it out as much as I can.
Yes, and that's the reason why I wanted to have this conversation with you to help amplify the message because again, I just learned about it a couple of months ago myself. So if I didn't know, I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure there are other people who are unaware as well.
Right. Right. A lot of people are unaware. And I
Is there,
noticed that a lot of people that are not aware, they do hold events during Women's History Month, and that's fine too. But I just want them to know that there is a Black Women's History Month that they could also hold their, events.
right, right. Like
Because
you
I
said,
don't want
keep
to take
gonna keep
anything
the
away
party
from
going.
anybody. Yeah, I don't want to take anything away from anyone, not at all. And I don't want women to not celebrate Women's History Month, but I do want them to know that they also have Black Women's History Month.
Hmm. Is there a particular theme or color for this year?
Oh yeah, well, this is the color period. Um, it's bright yellow,
Okay.
and bright yellow because bright yellow is considered to be to generate the happiest and most uplifting of feelings. So it's bright yellow and hot pink is associated with boldness and excitement. So
Hmm.
we have those two colors, bright yellow and hot pink, and those are going to be the color scheme period throughout I guess the rest of the history of Black Women's History Month.
Hmm. And I love the
Now this
intention
year I
behind
have
the color choices.
yes, yes. Now this year I have a theme though, and the theme of Black Women's History Month for 2024 is Black women uplifting each other, telling our stories, honoring our legacies. That's the theme.
Love that. I love that.
Okay, thank you.
I'm curious, did you know that April 5th is National Black Women's Labor Day?
No, I didn't. I'm sorry. What is it?
It's National Black Women's Labor Day, and that is the day that recognizes the 600,000 World War II African American Rosie the Riveters. And these were women, Black women that went to work in factories, shipyards, and the US government during World War II. And they essentially paved the way for Black women in the workforce today.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, and it's actually a documentary. It's called Invisible Warriors documentary that tells the story of the Black Rosita Riveters.
Okay. Awesome. That's awesome. I'm glad it was doing April too.
Yes. What has been your most memorable Black Women's History Month to date?
The most memorable, I guess, is when I first started it.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because it was memorable to me because of this one particular young lady. Excuse me. I She's a friend of mine. I told her about what I was doing, Black Women's History Month, and without thinking, she reached in her pocket and gave me $60 to help me spread the word. And that will always be probably the most memorable for me because she did it without even thinking, oh, she's wishful thinking or anything like that. She just did it, just to, I, she says to me today that she just really believed in what I was doing, even though she knew that it, it was just something that I, had just done. She didn't know how it was going to turn out, of course.
Hmm.
But she believed in me and what I was thinking about doing with it. And that just touched my heart so much. I will just for always and forever be grateful for that.
Hmm. Who have been some of the influential women or role models in your life?
Influential women, my grandmother, my paternal grandmother. Her name is Kitty Ann Atwater. She was very influential. She was very much a part of my life. Um, she taught me so much about trusting God and believing in myself. She um, kind of gave me courage, if you will, about having to do with me as a woman, as a person, um, as a she tried to instill in me leadership qualities, and I think I turned out okay. and But yeah, she was very, very instrumental in my life, very
Hmm.
much so. My mother was very strong, or is very strong.
Hmm.
Um, so I got a lot you know, of my tenacity from my mom, my grandmother, her mother, just the women in my life, really.
Yeah.
I've had really strong women in my life, so um, I'm grateful for that.
So outside of increasing awareness about Black Women's History Month nationwide and beyond, what's next for Shay?
Well, I did my very first speaking engagement on this past Sunday. I am very shy. I like to do stuff behind the scenes. But since then, since Sunday,
Wow.
I have gotten 3 invitations to, to travel to do additional speaking engagements, and this is in the month of April. So I guess what's next for Shay is speaking engagements.
Get ready, get ready. Put on your roller skates.
It, it's very new for me. It's very new for me. I was really nervous, and but they say it turned out. I was telling a few of my family and friends about it before I went to speak, and they actually surprised me by coming to hear me speak because it was at a church.
Okay.
And and when it was over with, all my family and the family and friends that came up to me, and I was just so I was just so thankful and surprised, and and it really, really made me feel really good. And then they liked my message that I spoke about, and everything was very, very nice, very
Mhm.
nice. So, so I guess in my future it's going to be speaking because I understand that they say, oh, they're going to be reaching out for you left and right. You're going to have to do a lot of speaking engagements. And I thought, oh goodness. So I guess that's what's next. But really promoting, really strongly promoting Black Women's History Month because I am very proud of it. You know what it means and what it, everything it entails and all of the things in between. So,
How do you want to be remembered?
um, I don't know. I don't really think about that kind of thing. But I guess if I had to come up with something, I would say um, I would like to be remembered as someone who um, is, I don't know, is someone who is conscious of, the status quo for women, Black women especially. Uh, I definitely, am uh, um, mindful of the some of the um, some of the things that we have to go through because I've gone through some, definitely not as much as a whole lot of others, but still I've gone through my share of you know adverse things and positive things as well, and I guess I'd like to be remembered as someone who's really compassionate, somebody who really believed in taking the high road and the work that lifts up women, especially Black women. I think that's about it.
Well, you're already doing all those things, so I'm sure that you're already preparing an amazing legacy. You're doing those things already. So there's no doubt
Oh,
that's how you will be remembered.
okay. Oh, that's nice.
Well, Shay, before we wrap up, I have one final question for you.
Okay.
What do you do to recharge when you aren't fearlessly leading?
I go to sleep, take me a nice long naps. Really, that's what I do. I just lay down and sleep and sleep and sleep. Take on. I get up and I eat and I go back to sleep. But I like watching movies. I do. I really do like watching movies and eating popcorn and just doing nothing.
Mhm. Well, rest is important, and you certainly need your rest before all these speaking engagements that you have coming up.
Yeah, so I'm told. I'm excited though.
I'm excited for you, and I can't wait to hear more about it. Well, Shay, thank you for sharing your insights with us on the show today. And thank you for the work that you're doing to amplify Black women. It is much needed.
You are so welcome. And I am so proud to be a Black woman. So proud.
I love to hear that. That's moving. How can
Hmm.
our listeners stay connected with you?
Well, my Facebook page is Black Women's History Month. Facebook.com/Black Women's History Month. One of them. And my other page is Shay Dash Black Women's History Month on Facebook. My Instagram page is Black Women's History Month. My website is blackwomenshistorymonth.com.
Okay, I'll make sure I include all of those links in the show notes so our listeners have that information.
Okay.
And to our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, make sure you leave a review and share it with someone. That's all for today's episode. Until next time, thank you for listening. Hey everyone, I'm excited to be representing my hometown, Washington, D.C., as a contestant in the upcoming Miss Corporate America competition taking place on June 22nd, 2024 in Orlando, Florida. With less than 3 months to go to the big event, I am reaching out to ask for your support. One way you can support me is by considering corporate sponsorships or purchasing an ad in the official program guide. Your sponsorship or ad purchase not only promotes your business or organization to nearly 400 attendees at the competition, but also contributes to my success in the competition. If you're unable to attend the competition in person, purchasing an ad is a fantastic way to show your support from afar. Your support means the world to me, and I'm grateful for any contribution you can make towards my journey to become your next Miss Corporate America. Email me at angela@angelavharris.com if you would like to become a sponsor or purchase an ad. All sponsor ads are due by Wednesday, May 15th, 2024. Don't forget, you can also show your support by casting your vote for People's Choice by visiting bit.ly/MSNWDC. Thank you for listening to the Flow Podcast. As we wrap up today's episode, always remember your unique path, your voice, and your leadership matter. If you loved what you heard, subscribe now to stay updated on our latest episodes. Take a moment to leave a review and share this episode with someone who can benefit from these conversations. You can stay connected with me on Instagram at The Flow Podcast with Angela, or visit me on the web at angelavharris.com. Until next time, take care, stay inspired, and keep fearlessly leading in your own way.